Sorenamaka Saratikinyamaka Siki. Welcome, Soratake Sareninyamaka, to another wonderful episode. Soratake Sareninyamaki Sitiaka, and may this episode serve you well. Soratake Sareninyamaka. So, hello, everybody. Welcome back. Welcome back. In today's episode, I'm talking about how much Kundalini Yoga can actually help you through your Kundalini Awakening process. And I love Kundalini Yoga. Like, seriously, I love Kundalini Yoga so much, but it's something that is not very easy to practice, for myself included. You know, I've been practicing and teaching Kundalini since 2016. And I went straight into the teacher training without really knowing what Kundalini Yoga was about. But because I had received a message from a past life regression that I did with a friend, and one of the things that came up was like, okay, so what does she need to do or know? And the answer was Kundalini. He had no idea what that was about, but I was like, yep, I know. Because I had already taken a Kundalini Yoga class, which honestly, as soon as I walked into the space, I felt at home. But at that moment, it freaked me out. It was like the return home, honestly. It was like, I don't think I'm ready for that. But and it took like about 6 months to actually do the teacher training, and it has changed my life. It has changed my life. I practice it every morning after I wake up. And like I said, it's not very easy at times to do so because many things will rise up. The mind could play these games of like, I'm tired, I just want to lay down or not do it or anything, you know, and it doesn't even matter how I feel. I just do it. I do it because I know the benefits of it, because I experienced the benefits of it. And also I know that when my mind is playing those games, it's really because I'm about to break through something really massive, because it happens. It's happened every single time when I didn't want to do it. And I'm like there practicing and just thinking like, oh, why am I doing these things right now? And then afterwards, throughout the practice, massive releases and Shavasana, just like, oh, blissful. And so, you know, it came to my awareness that, goodness, I was not sharing that with my work. And I feel that part of me was really like a little hesitant about it, because I had been hesitant about it when I first started teaching it, at least in Las Vegas, you know, because I was part of the first Kundalini Yoga teacher training in Las Vegas in 2016, led by Cosmin. And so the only Kundalini Yoga teacher that had been in the city was him and the other teacher that helped us through the teacher training. So then coming out, like trying to teach, it was horrible. Nobody really would come to my classes besides my ex and once in a while some friends, you know, that they really resonated with the teachings. And it was just kind of like, oh, how do I invite people to do this with me? Anyways, I moved out of Las Vegas and stuff, and I started teaching it again when I lived in Cusco in 2019, which I love, and people definitely love it too. And little by little, it came this thing of like, dude, this helps you so much. Why not share it with the world? And so I did. You know, I started doing that recently. Every new moon, I hold a Kundalini Yoga class. What I mean recently is like since January of this year, because it was something that I just shared, that it was good for me, but not something that I would share with the online group anyway, because I've been teaching here in Kansas, Lawrence, since like a few months ago, actually in person, you know. And I'm not even sure where that came from, about being so hesitant of it when I know the benefits, you know. So just to give you like a little background of it, it was during my teacher training in 2016 that the Kundalini energy rose. And I had been doing the Raise Your Kundalini Energy Kriya for a while. I was curious, you know, but I guess I was also preparing my body for all those things. And it just, it became my foundation. It is my foundation as this Kundalini Awakening has unfolded. It has been my foundation. has been the one thing that I can rely on, or that I could rely on when things like felt like there was so much intensity around me and I wasn't in control of anything that was changing. The only thing that I could control was my discipline with Kundalini Yoga and other things that I practice anyway. And it kept me balanced. It really kept me balanced. And I cannot tell you how challenging it was, especially when the Kundalini energy rose, like how challenging it had been for me, with massive trances, with like, holy shit, I can't, it's like very difficult to find words of how difficult it's been. So this is what I'm saying, like, it was freaking difficult, period. So difficult. And I really believe that had it not been for Kundalini Yoga, it would have been even more difficult, because Kundalini Yoga kept me present, kept me with stuff, and like gave me that inner strength that I even at times felt that I didn't have. And of course, I will have the inner strength for any other things too, you know, like the energetics for sure. But that's kind of like in the, if we can say it, in the outdoors, you know, like here in this present moment in this earth, like it was Kundalini Yoga, the one that helped me root everything. I was moving my body and breathing and doing meditations and chanting and all these kinds of things to be present with myself as everything else unfolded. And it gave me that inner strength and helped me to into that inner strength that I felt that I didn't have at times. So it really was like my safe haven through the challenging moments. Right now, I don't really feel that it's a safe haven, but I feel that it's part of me. That's what I do. You know, even when I'm not sleeping very well and I have a very challenging time falling asleep, and I sleep for 3 hours a day, when I still wake up, I still do the practice, even if it's shorter. I just do it. I show up because, again, I know from experience how good it is for me. And I cannot be the only one that this is good for. You know, there's a reason why there's so many Kundalini Yoga teachers out there. And so this is why I'm sharing this right here, because it has been a massive during my awakening process. It has been massive, because as the process unfolds, you know, many doorways, this is what I call it anyway, doorways and portals open up. You become so open as you release so much. And it's like that constant process, depending how your process goes anyway, you know, of like releasing, crying, feeling angry, like letting go, like, oh, catching your breath and going again into the same things over and over and over again. And there's so much going on in your system. And if you're not here present in your physical body, like who knows what could happen out there. And I'm not saying this in a negative way, but I'm saying like there's a lot of people that I've heard that they go to like institutions because they feel crazy, you know, and granted, I felt so freaking crazy too. However, it was that practice again, and the trust, really, and the trust that I had inside of me, that it was something so good that was happening. They kept me present. They kept me here in my body, because I had been so good my entire life to be out there, but I was missing to be here, present with myself through my physical body. And so the balance that happens in the teachings through the practice is mind-blowing, to be completely honest. It's mind-blowing. Like when I practice this and I do it with so much reverence and so conscious, afterwards I'm just like everybody needs to try this like once. Like try it once and see if it works out for you. If it doesn't, cool, you know, maybe it's not that right specific moment to have a full-on practice, but like it's such an amazing technology that we can access, and we access that with the practice to like balance our being, you know, balance our being. And what I love so much is it really does work with all the elements. And I feel honestly that most practices that help us elevate and put ourselves into balance do use all the elements. And I've seen this with like the practices that I do anyway, they all use the elements in such an amazing way, you know. So like of course, in order to be balanced within yourself, the elements themselves have to be balanced. And so if a practice can do this for you, with you, conscious about it, imagine how quickly you can feel balance within yourself. This doesn't mean that you will not feel whatever it is that you're meant to feel, like you will feel your shit. It's true, it happens, you did things were done to you, and they will come out to be released, and then you feel it somehow. But the fact is that you're putting your intention and the action into doing something that's so good for you. And like, honestly, I cannot imagine my awakening process without that practice, without Kundalini Yoga. I cannot. There were many times where it was just like, of course, took me so out there, but many times where it took me so inwards too, and just the presence of me, my being, consciousness, life itself. And it helped me open up many other doorways within myself. It has helped me see many things that I couldn't see before. And it works so quick. This is the thing. It works so quick. Okay. And again, like, I cannot just be the only one that it works quick with. I cannot. There's so many like humans out here that, like, it sounds kind of ridiculous to say like I'm the only one that this happens to, There's a wave of us that happens like this. But honestly, a couple years ago, I was doing this meditation with Simbrit, and it was something about unconscious patterns or something, and to rewire the brain. And I was like, cool, like I do a practice, I give it my all. I could be a little lazy, when I'm just like, I don't want to do this and being at home. But once I'm practicing with somebody, I have my teacher guide me, like I give it my all. And so it's like, all right, this sounds pretty interesting. Let me do this. I kid you not, probably an hour after we were done with practice, I had this conscious awareness of how I was sabotaging myself. And I was like, I went through shock. I went through anger. I went through frustration. I went through sadness. It's such a big like roller coaster thing. And I even told my boyfriend, saying like, I wouldn't be surprised if that part of me begins to like sabotage our relationship. And because I had said that to him, he held space for me in the most divine way, literally, because I don't even remember how long this process was, but it was lengthy and it was intense. To be able to see the self-sabotaging pattern that will come through and just like embrace it and love it, because I was freaking hating it. I was so hating it, accepting it, loving it, and integrate it. It took me a bit to do that, but I did. And it was the opening that was able to lead me to that was this practice of Kundalini Yoga, and of course my intention, giving it my all. Okay, this is not the only time that has happened. As in recently too, I was teaching a Kundalini Yoga class here in Lawrence, and there was only one student. So then rather than just leading the practice itself, we did it together. And it was about releasing anger. Holy smokes. It took me into this amazing awareness and release of the anger that I had through my childhood and was living within me for a couple of days, which I'm still kind of processing, to be honest. and so then I was like, holy smokes, like the power, okay, like the power. And of course, the power of intention. Intention is your access point. But at the same time, like the technology of this practice, like, holy shit, this really can help so many of us. And are we willing to like give that space to ourselves? So this is my question for you. Are you willing to give that space for yourself? Because it works. And again, it works. There's a reason why people practice it. And it's not just to like have some kind of way of looking, you know, because a lot of people associate Kundalini yoga with the turban and all these kinds of things. Like, I don't want a turban, you know, I'm not wearing white all the time. Like, I went through that phase where I wanted to wear white all the time, and honestly, it's not me. I love colors. I love colors. And yes, I do cover my head when I teach it, but I'm not covering my head every single hour of the day. I tried it. Did not work out for me. And I'm glad I tried it, because then I know, you know, it's not that kind of lifestyle in the way of clothing and stuff. It doesn't resonate for me. The practice itself, holy smokes, yes, it does. But everything else, no. And I am me. I express myself different. So that doesn't mean that it might not even come to that. Who knows? Maybe yes, maybe not. But at this moment in time, no. And honestly, I don't really think that it will, because I do love colors. So anyways, the point is that it is such a massive portal of consciousness and transformation that can help you access many things within your being and help you through the awakening process in a more gentle way. Because during the awakening process, it feels like you don't even have a foundation, that everything's cracking, that everything is like turning to shit and like cracking and falling apart and whatever it is, you know? And I'm definitely not taking away anything of your feelings away from that, you know, and I'm not invalidating your feelings, because that's exactly how I felt. However, in the awakening process, your own foundation comes to life. So that's why it feels like things are falling apart and cracking, and they're just like, what's going on? Because your own foundation is rising up, and the old foundation that was unstable is just like falling apart, you know? And if you have a very solid discipline, and I'm not just talking about Kundalini yoga right now, but any discipline that really helps you, whether it's dance or maybe even painting, or who knows, yoga or meditation, depending on the practices that you do, it really does help you to cleanse your being. It does help you to put all your elements into balance, which then it makes the awakening process a little bit more gentle and quicker in a way, you know, quicker. You know, you are aware of many things. You're constantly putting yourself into balance. You're constantly working for yourself and just being conscious, you know, of things that happened. There is a really amazing level of awareness that happens when somebody is devoted to itself, and is devoted to its growth, is devoted to its health. And it knows, like, no, I don't eat this. If I eat this, this is how I feel. If I don't do this, this is how I feel. Like, you know. So then you choose, you know, there's this pathway where like, okay, yeah, I know how it was before when I did not do all these things, and I know how it is right now. And even if at times, you know, I don't want to do it, I still show up for a little bit, and I do the best that I can. And through all of that, like your inner puzzle, and I talked about this in one of the live videos, and you can find it, you know, in the channel as well. You know, your inner puzzle is always shifting and changing. So the way that it changes, it will be more divine and more kind of like sacred geometry when you do these kinds of practices. And like a really powerful access point of the balance itself, because of working with so many of the elements, is Kundalini Yoga. And let me explain a little bit of like what I mean about working with the elements, you know? So you have pranayama, breath work, which is the air element. You know, of course, the teachings too. Most of the time there's teachings throughout the practice, you know? There's a reason why we do different kriyas, and there's a different way of how many things work in your system. There's the asanas, you know, the postures, the physical postures. You work with your physical body. You're there present. That's the earth element. Then you have the fire, you know, your inner fire. There's a lot of breath of fire that happens there. There's a lot of like different kinds of breath work. But at the same time, you're building your energy, your own energy, to give you the strength, to give you the power, to help you move through some kind of kriya or meditation. And then you're there in tune with yourself, your inner fire. It's beautiful. which is also seen as your spirit. You know, the spirit comes through when you're just there, when you let go of like, oh, this exercise sucks, and you stay with it. And next thing you know, your body's just moving and you're there. So powerful. The water element, the emotions. Oh, there's so many mantras that are chanted throughout a practice, you know, and that brings up so many emotions of like beautiful emotions. And of course it could be a lot of like crying involved, feeling anger, you know, and it's part of the gig. It's part of the gig. But just like the way that every single set works with all of that. Yeah. And maybe, you know, maybe like the very first class will not really feel like that, but internally something magical is happening. Big time. And then if you continue to do that, then you will see, you know, you will really, really see how everything changes. I had a dear sister, and she's also like one of my students and clients, you can call, that she wanted to get her Kundalini yoga practice started. So I set it up for her. You know, I did it based on her numerology, her date of birth. And I said, okay, according to your numerology, this is the bodies. In Kundalini Yoga, we say we have 10 bodies. These are the bodies that you should pay more attention to. So I designed her sadhana practice based on those. And literally life-changing. She stopped drinking. She no longer talks negative about herself. And this is literally in 40 days. I told her, like, stick with it for 40 days, okay? Journal about it every single day. From there on, you decide. I haven't met a person that has done a Kundalini yoga practice for 40 days and then decided to quit. I really haven't. And so this is like what I'm saying, you know, so much beauty that happens when you dedicate something that really resonates with you and helping you so much. And of course, through the awakening process, because it does give you that foundation, or like helps you see that foundation, gives you the foundation in the sense of like, I got you, like something bigger than you has your back through the practice, because like the teachers can come through for you. Like, this is what has happened to me. The teachers came through me, the gurus came through me, like the deities came through me, and it's like feeling their presence. No, I'm not alone. Know that this is so powerful, and it connects me with like the golden lineage, like with like life itself, and everybody that has walked this path before me that opened it up for me and for others. Like, it's just like, it's a gift, you know, for me, it's a gift. And again, it was just something so beautiful that helped me throughout the first 5 years of the awakening process, because it was very difficult. Like I said, it was very difficult. And now that I'm in this point after those 5 years, that, you know, like it doesn't feel that heavy. It's just more alive. I'm me, and I continuously being me and getting to know myself even more. Like I still have it, you know, I still practice it. I've been practicing the same kriya and meditations for 2 years, and different experience every single time. And it's so good, honestly, it's so good. And I just really wanted to share this because, again, I know that some things that might resonate with me might also resonate with you. And there's a reason why I'm sticking with this practice. There's a reason why I teach it. And of course, I teach other like kinds of yoga modalities too, but like what channels through when I teach a Kundalini class, I'm just in a way shocked at times, like especially in person, you know, because of course, like I teach it once a week here in person, and online, like I said, it's every new moon. So like the online teachings is a little bit newer for me, and seeing the bodies full on in front, it's a different experience, I feel, anyway. But it doesn't mean that doing it online is not as powerful as you could do it. Like I said, when I had this like powerful awareness, my teacher was online. I was seeing her through the screen, and I was like sitting here and just doing my thing. It still worked. And this is not me telling you, let me be your teacher. This is me telling you that this practice has helped me and continues to help me so much. And it was my safe heaven during the most challenging periods of my Kundalini awakening. And it could be for you too. Maybe that could really be that space of like, peace, inner peace. I'm safe. And something has my back. And that's something I know is me. So I invite you to give it a shot. Who knows? Maybe it's the one thing that would change your life. Like it changed me, literally, not just in the way of how I love myself, but also like with the Kundalini awakening. I truly believe that all these practices, the yoga asana and things like, their in a way main destination or main journey is the awakening process. The awakening process is so divine. It's so divine. In my experience and the experience of other friends, brothers and sisters and clients. So see it, maybe just look it up and see if it resonates. Maybe try like a little breath work or something. I would love to see you in the new moon in March. But if it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. That's okay. Only you know what's best for you. Only you know what your soul is calling for. And this is the main teaching, only you know what your soul is calling forth. I knew that my soul was calling for Kundalini Yoga, and I was ready to dive really deep into that. And I'm so glad I did. Very difficult because the teacher training was unlike any other yoga teacher training. And I had done a few prior to that. But so rewarding in the way that I cannot express how much I love myself. This comes from a person that has suffered from anorexia and bulimia for over 20 years, from anxiety pretty much almost my entire life, and depression as well, from like suicidal tendencies for like literally wanting to kill myself for an entire year long, self-sabotaging patterns. Like there's a lot of things that I was carrying and I was doing, a lot of patterns that ran through my family and my lineage and like the collective. But the way that I feel about myself right now, if you would have told me this like 10 years ago, like you will get to a point in your life that you will so be in love with yourself, I will just laugh. Like seriously, that sounds really funny. But then inside I'll be like, that sounds really good. So let your soul speak. Let your soul guide you, and then see what happens. So much love to you. So many blessings. And remember,